If you clicked on this video, then you have found yourself the Ultimate Descendant title guide. Today we're going to be going over every single one of the triumphs under the Descendant seal, from weekly challenges to triumph challenges to the miscellaneous triumphs. We're going to be covering everything in today's video. If you want a specific area of this guide, make sure to check out the timestamps down below, but we're pretty much going to be going over everything. This is by far the easiest raid title in the game. It has some of the easiest challenges as well compared to Garden of Salvation and Last Wish, and it's a pretty simplistic seal to get your hands on. Trust me, take it from someone that actually has it. Except I don't have it because Eyes of Tomorrow won't drop for me. So, you know, do the raid 3 times a week. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. You want to complete the badge? Better get your hands on it. I don't got it, but I'm making a guide on the title anyway, so I hope that you guys enjoy. We're gonna go and segue on over to the information portion of the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy the guide. So, first things first, this is how we're going to do the guide. The first thing we're going to go over is going to be the weekly challenges, then we're going to go over the triumph challenges, which are the challenges that you can do at any time, and then after that we're going to go over the miscellaneous challenges, which is basically everything else. So, first things first, we're going to go and start off with the Red Rover challenge, which is for the first encounter, Deepstone Crypt Security. To get this challenge done, every single player needs to become operator at least once and do their duties as an operator. To get this done, separate your fire team into 3 teams of 2 and force 3 total damage phases, destroying 2 fuses every single damage phase. Taking a look at the groups, we have group 1, 2, and 3, and inside of the groups we have 2 operators each. The first operator, which is going to start the cycle, and the second operator, which is going to then shoot the panels and start damage phase. Now, when first starting the encounter, make sure that you have your scanners read both sides, the light and the dark. After both sides are read and typed in the chat and everybody knows what's going on, have operator 1 of group 1 go down below and shoot all of the panels on the dark side. After this, operator 1 of group 1 will then bank the operator buff for his teammate operator 2, and then operator 2 will then let out his teammate and shoot all the light side panels once he gets down below. After shooting all the panels, operator 2 will then bank the operator buff for operator 1 of group 2, so he's not giving it back to his teammate, he's giving it to the first operator in the second group. Operator 2 of group 1 will then have scanner passed down to him, and he will read out the 2 fuses that are to be shot for the damage phase. Now, once the 2 fuses are shot and damage phase is over, operator 2 of group 1 will keep scanner and stay down below. He will then read out the next light and dark panels before being let out by operator 1 of group 2, and then repeat until done. Once operator is let out and operator 1 of group 2 goes in, he literally repeats the process. He shoots the dark side ones, and then his teammate comes and gets him, his teammate shoots the light side ones, starts damage phase, keeps scanner after damage phase, and then reads for the next group. It's a very simple challenge. It doesn't really take all that much coordination. Just make sure that you have these groups in your head, and make sure that you know whenever you are passing operator that you are passing it to the next person, either the person in your group or the first person in the next group. If you do this right, you'll end up getting the challenge done, get your double chest, and you'll also get your triumph. Whenever it comes to a loadout for this challenge, just use something like Xenophage. I mean, this encounter really isn't all that demanding for you. Xenophage is just really nice to be able to pop the fuses and kill ads in case they're around you. It can also make Warmind cells if you have the correct mods, so you don't really necessarily need Xenophage. You know, 4th Horseman is fine, pretty much any shotgun is fine, but just make sure that you're able to get rid of the fuses because you're literally only shooting 2 at a time, and you'll be good to go. Now, moving on over from the Red Rover challenge, we have the Copies of Copies challenge for Atrax 1, Fallen Exo. Now, to get this challenge done, you must never vent any of the replications throughout the entirety of the encounter. Whereas operator normally is going to shoot the replication off of you and vent it out into space, instead, operator's job here is to just refresh their allies' debuff timer instead. So shoot it off of their head and then have them pick it up. Now, I'm going to go over a strategy that me and my team do all the time whenever we do Atrax. Although you do not need to do this strategy, this is the strategy that will get you the least amount of replications possible, even though it can be kind of hard to pull off. For me and my team, we start the encounter by assigning our operator and our scanner roles, so which player is going to play which. After this, we kill all the servitors on Europa once they spawn, and then send every single person in the fire team up into space. Once everyone is gathered, kill the last servitors in space to start the damage phase. When damage starts, have scanner call out which Atrax to kill, and have all 6 players damage Atrax at the same time. After damage is complete, Scanner and 3 others will then go to Europa for damage, while Operator and the person holding the replication stay to keep refreshing the debuff in space. If done correctly and Scanner and the 3 others go to Europa and are able to burn his health bar enough, Final Stand will start, so proceed as normal. If this does happen, you're literally only going to have 2 replications. If not enough damage is done, one last damage phase should do it, then you will have 3 replications going into Final Stand. You just do Final Stand as normal, kill Aatrox, you have the challenge done. Do keep in mind, you do not need to do this strategy whatsoever. You can do 3 in space and 3 down below and transfer Scanner between them. You can do that if you would like, but this is a strategy that me and my team do to keep things to a minimum in terms of how many replications are floating around. If you want a good loadout for this, using Lament across all fire team members as well as damage buffs like Bubble, and if you don't have Bubble then Wells, this is pretty much going to guarantee that you'll be able to either 2 or 3 floor Aatrox with ease. Do keep in mind that debuffs do not work on Aatrox, so only keep it to a Bubble and a Well and you will be just fine. Do 2 to 3 light attacks and a heavy attack with Lament whenever you have the blade revved and you'll be good to go. Moving on over to what is arguably the hardest challenge for the Deepstone Crypt, and it still isn't all that hard, is the Of All Trades challenge for 3rd encounter when you first face Taniks Reborn. To get this done, all players must have used each of the 3 augments at least once throughout the encounter. How do you get this done? Create an order of players for which the augments are going to be passed down. So for example, you have something like this: player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in a list in order, and Operator, Scanner, and Suppressor will be alternated between the players. So player 1 will have Operator, player 3 will have Scanner, and player 5 will have Suppressor. This encounter is going to feature 6 total cycles, so you're going to be alternating between an augment and not having an augment between those cycles. Do keep in mind though that do not bank an augment before another one is disabled at the end of the cycle, because if you bank too early, it will not count as you using said augment. So always wait for an augment to be disabled before you start swapping them amongst each other. Now this is what an actual cycle is going to look like. You're going to have player 1, 3, and 5 with their buffs. After that cycle is over, they then swap. So you'll see that player 1 gives to player 2, player 3 gives to player 4, and player 5 gives to player 6. You will then do another cycle. So then player 2 is giving to player 3, player 4 to player 5, player 6 to player 1. And you are literally just going to alternate down the line of players until every single person has gotten their augment and the encounter is then finished. I would, however, recommend that you do trade augments in order, so have the Operator trade first, then the Scanner trade, and then the Suppressor trade. That way everyone's not gathered around the terminal trying to do things out of order and confusing everybody. But all in all, Of All Trades is a really easy challenge, and I hope that that little graphic right there helped you understand how it works. The last weekly challenge that we have is the Core 4 for Taniks the Abomination, and this is probably, it doesn't really need much explanation, but I'm going to explain it anyways. To get this challenge done, you must drop all 4 cores off of Taniks at once to start the damage phase. To know where you're going to be banking these cores, bank the cores at the 4 locations that are farthest from Taniks. So if Taniks is in the orange area of the map, then go to the white area and the blue area to bank your cores, or 1, 2, 3, and 4. Normally you do this encounter by dropping 2 at a time and having Scanner tell you where to go, but this one is honestly easier overall, and people have been doing it ever since launch. Whenever you are carrying your cores to actually bank in the 4 areas, let Operator pop at least 2 of the bubbles that are going to surround the teammates before suppressing Taniks. That way Operator does not get disabled whenever someone's inside of a bubble and possibly screwing everybody up. And after you do this successfully, damage phase will have a total of 3 cycles if done correctly. So it's a pretty easy, strategy. People have been doing this since launch. Like I said, it's honestly easier than the normal strategy. Whenever it comes to loadouts, you can use the likes of Heritage and First In Last Out for slugs, Cloud Strike, and Anarchy. You can even use Bubble and Well being inside of the damage area, Bubble being outside for damage and, getting the buff and whatnot. But honestly, it's a really, really easy strategy. I'm sure all of you already know exactly how to do this, but like I said, I wanted to cover it just to feature it in the guide to make it a little bit ultimate. Now that we've done all of the weekly challenges for the DSC, let's go ahead and move on over to the Triumph challenges, and these are very similar to the weekly challenges in the sense that there is 1 per encounter with a total of 4. We're going to go and start off with the Resource Contention Triumph, which says shut down Crypt security while only using 2 of the 3 augmentation terminals. This is very easy. You have a total of 3 terminals in this encounter, 1 down below, 1 on light, 1 on dark, and this is how I do it every time. Have your operator pick up the buff on the light side terminal. The scanner should be spawning somewhere on the dark side, so kill scanner, pick it up, and then read the dark side floor. After that, have operator go to the far left and open the door for you, allowing you to move on over to the light side. Then read the light side, have operator go down, shoot all the panels, and then have operator bank his buff down there. You have now just used a total of 2 terminals. Then have the person who is above grab operator on light side. You have to grab it on light side because that is the one that you started with, and we're trying to only use 2 here. After operator is grabbed, the scanner, who went from dark to light, is already on light, so he'll go ahead and bank scanner in the light side terminal for the person down below to read all the fuses, get a crispy 1 phase, and you are done. Even if you don't 1 phase, just stick with the plan using only 2 terminals, the 1 down below and the 1 on light side. This one is really easy and anyone can get it. Moving on over from the first encounter triumph, we have the second encounter, which is the 5 seconds to paradise triumph. This says defeat Atrax while destroying all servitors within 5 seconds of each other. This one is extremely easy as well. Have a team of 3 on space and a team of 3 on Europa. Have everybody get their servitors within finisher range. Do keep in mind that the Europa servitors tend to spawn first, so go ahead and get them low on health, whatever. Make sure you're not popping any Warmind cells, and let the ones in space spawn afterwards. You also want to make sure that you go ahead and grab your scanner and operator buff, because the second that you do this, damage phase is going to start. But basically, you're going to make sure that the 3 servitors on Europa are finishable, and then in space, make sure that those get finishable as well after they spawn. Count down 3, 2, 1, go, and when you say go, everybody finishes their servitor at the same time. It is by far the best and most efficient way to make sure that they do it on time so that they don't miss a shot, kill it too early, or anything like that. Just finish your servitors on go, and you have this triumph done after you complete the encounter. Now, moving on from second encounter, we have the third encounter triumph called Short Circuit. This is where you first meet Taniks Reborn, and it says confront Taniks while allowing only 1 player from your fire team to deposit nuclear cores. Very self-explanatory. Have 1 core goblin and 5 normal players. The core goblin can actually play augmentation roles, but he can't play suppressor, so he could be a scanner and be an operator and still be able to do his duty as a core goblin. But basically, if you do pick up a nuclear core and you're not the assigned core goblin for the team, then just go to the place that the scanner told you to go, hold the core, and just wait there. The core goblin will then make his way, pick it up, and then bank it. By the time that the next actual cycle of cores happens, the core goblin isn't really going to have any more radiation unless he's been carrying one around for a while. But it's pretty simple. Just have 1 person bank every single core, and it's practically a freebie. Now, moving on from the third encounter, we have Ready, Set, Go, which is the fourth encounter's triumph, which says defeat Taniks the Abomination while activating pairs of conduit nodes within 5 seconds of each other. I ended up getting this done by accident, but it's pretty simple. Basically, for us, we ended up doing the core 4 strat, so we dropped all 4 cores at the same time, and then everybody basically count down until 0 to pick up cores at the same time to make sure that they all have the same radiation. You're then going to run to your spot, make sure that your operator is popping bubbles as soon as they spawn, and by the time that suppressor is done suppressing, or you can even line things up in terms of when he's going to do it, the second that he suppresses and the second that he's done, either you're able to bank or you're less than 5 seconds away from banking guaranteed. Like I said, I did this completely on accident, but it's a very easy triumph to get your hands on, so you probably already have it. Now that we have the weekly challenges and the triumph challenges done, let's go ahead and go over the miscellaneous triumphs for the Deepstone Crypt seal, starting with Crypt Keeper. This says loot hidden chests in the Deepstone Crypt, and honestly, these chests really aren't all that hidden. The first chest, which everyone pretty much knows about, is the right side of the end of the actual Sparrow encounter, where instead of going through the door, you'll kind of venture off to the right, jump on some rocks, and then get to the top and then open a chest. The other one is actually inside of space, and you're gonna find it literally on your way to the next encounter on the left side while you're jumping on panels. So They're not really hidden, you know, especially compared to other chests, but yeah, that's the 2 chest locations. Now, aside from that, we have the Not a Scratch Triumph, which this one is actually going to give you the raid Sparrow to complete the badge. It says bring all pikes from the starting heat bubble to the final heat bubble. Very, very easy. Just do the frostbite glitch where you park your pike in the snow, get off the pike, get inside of the heat bubble, and then hop onto your pike from there. You can make your way all the way down without frostbite, guaranteed. Just make sure that when you get to the final area that you park on the cliff above, get rid of the brigs and the captains and enemies with like xenophage and your sniper rifle, and then go all the way down and you have your pike there. Make sure that all of your teammates are on a pike whenever you're in the heat bubble to get the triumph, and if you're doing it solo, you can bring all of your pikes down to the heat bubble, get in an LFG team, have them join you, get on the pikes at one time, and you can get this triumph done easy peasy. And moving on from that, we have the Rock Bottom Triumph, which is basically going to ask you to get all of the Exo Stranger logs. These are pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you're just going to have to find out where they're hidden, and lucky for you, I know where they are. First up is going to be at the entrance of the Deepstone Crypt. Before you even make it to the crypt security, you're basically just going to take a right, and it's going to be behind a box. Moving on from this one, after the Deepstone Crypt security boss battle, you're then going to find the next one on top of a pipe to the left of the Darkness statue. It's going to be all the way at the end. Run over there and grab it. The next 2 exo logs are actually going to be found in space. The first of which is going to be found on this little lower area as you're going throughout the jumping puzzle. You're literally going to pass it, but it's way down on this lower balcony. Just jump down to it, pick it up, and then climb your way back up. And then the next exo log is going to be found to the far right of the actual hangar to where you leave the space area. So you're going to go all the way to the right, pick it up, and then make your way all the way back. Now, when going through this hangar area in the transitional phase between space and Taniks Reborn, you're going to find the last 5th exo log on top of this little area to the right outside of the Taniks Reborn room. This is going to end up giving you the ghost shell from the raid. Lastly, as far as miscellaneous triumphs are concerned, we basically have stuff like completing the raid, we have stuff like a clanmate night, and basically just doing one as the same guardian class, and then a bunch of different elements. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Honestly, they are more fun than they are challenging. You can do some really goofy stuff with it. If you're doing stuff like solar, you can do like Nighthawks and, you know, hammers and all this crazy stuff. If you're doing stuff like Arc, you can have a bunch of people with Chaos Reach and, you know, Missile Titans, and just do a bunch of silly stuff. Honestly, there's really no way to really min-max this. I would just suggest jumping into it and having fun. At least that's what I did. You can honestly get one of the element triumphs and the guardian class triumphs done at the same time, but honestly the hardest part of getting these triumphs done is literally finding people who are willing to do them, and that's pretty much all as far as like the miscellaneous triumphs are concerned. You just got to make sure that you have people that are willing to do something stupid. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for getting your hands on the Descendant seal. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention: Eyes of Tomorrow, which I still don't have, but you have 3 chances of getting every single week for every single character that you have. You're gonna need Eyes of Tomorrow to finish off the badge, to finish off the seal. But guys, that is it for me, and that is it for the guide on how to get the Descendant seal. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that you found it useful. I hope that the graphics and everything when explaining the weekly challenges made things a bit easier for you as well. But I wanted to make my first ever ultimate seal and title guide because I really like titles in this game. They're really fun to chase, and I want to help other players get their hands on them as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate all the love and support, and I'll see you guys next time.